Right, I think it's time to put all of what I've been saying into practice. And so we have a Fortress lock in front of us. And I've chosen this lock specifically because of the bitting and the key. So if we have a look at the key, you can see that we've effectively got a high lift, a low, a low, a high lift and a low. So this lock has got a combination of nearly all of what we've been talking about. And I do know the combination of this lock. I know the lever combination, and it starts off with lever number 2. Then it has lever number 5, and then it goes 4, lever 1, and then back to lever 4. So 2 of the levers in this lock, the lever 1 and the lever 2, are high lift. And as you can see, the high lift levers have the anti-pick notch before the true gate. So if you don't lift them high enough, the lock will go into anti-pick. And then the other levers in the lock, the 4, the 2 4s and the 5, you can see the anti-pick is after the true gate, and therefore we can't lift those too high or else they're going to go into anti-pick. So also, if you remember me saying, when you have a high lift lever, then the pick wire tends to get jammed between the curtain and the lever belly when you're going backwards and forwards. So without any tension on, you can see that I have full access to all 5 levers. I've put the scale on here so you can actually see what's going on. When I apply tension, then you can see that the passage of the pick wire is now obstructed. And because we know the combination of this lock, if we go back to the key, we are going to expect to see the pick wire obstructed by lever 1 and lever number 4, because number 4 is a 1 and lever number 1 is a 2. That sounds really confusing, but basically you can see the first lever and the 4th lever are high lift and the rest of them are low lift, and the high lift levers normally obstruct the pick wire in the lock. So I'm going to try and pick this, and I know it's going to be frustrating because it's going to be tricky getting the wire underneath levers 1 and 4, but we'll give it a go. So I'm going to start with lever number 5. We know lever number 5 is going to be a medium to low lift lever. So let me just move this camera, because what we have here is we have this puck on the end of this ultra pick, and when we're picking levers, if you look, you can see I can turn that puck, and obviously the angle of the puck changes as it's going through, and we can get a good idea of how much we're lifting it. So for example, that is the absolute maximum lift on this lock. There are no levers that need to be lifted that high. So if we are actually picking that high, then we know that we're going to be oversetting everything in the lock. So if we bring the pick up to just touching the belly of the lever, you can see from that angle through to there is the full range of movement on the lever. And we know that the first lever is going to be a sort of an intermediate lift, so we would expect it to set somewhere halfway. So let's go for that. So we'll start with lever number 1. I'm applying just a little bit of tension, and I'm feeling to see whether that lever's binding, and I can feel the lever grinding on the bolt stump as I lift it. And then when I've lifted it to where I think it needs to be, I'm just going to test it. So if we have a listen, we can hear that that lever is tapping. And if we look at the lever itself, we can see that if it's in the true gate, then it's going to tap. If I've overlifted it, then it'll be in the anti-pick notch and it won't tap as loud. Okay, so let's say, for example, that lever is now in the correct gate. So lever number 4, which is a high lift lever, is now obstructing the pick from moving backwards. So I'm just going to give it a little tug just to get underneath that lever. Let's just check that the first lever is in the right place. That may actually be overlifted, to be fair, but we'll now, let's just drop that lever down a little bit. There we go. Let's just see if we can find the true gate on that lever. See if we can get it to bind. Okay, so lever number 4 is a high lift lever because it was binding the pick. So I'm now going to, if you watch the puck, I'm going to turn it a lot further and wait for the click to indicate that that lever has set, which is there. So the first lever is set there and the second lever is set there. I would actually say that that first lever has been overset. I think I've lifted that too high. And if you remember, if you lift the lever too high, then it'll fall into that anti-pick notch. So I'm going to reset the lock. I would expect that lever to set somewhere around about there and no further. So let's go again. Let's just tease it up to roughly where we think it needs to be. Get underneath lever number 4. It's a high lift lever, so we're going to knock that up. Now, I don't know if you heard that, but as I lifted that lever, and it's a number 1, you may have heard it drop into a notch. And what's happened is I haven't lifted it high enough, and the bolt stump has fallen into that first anti-pick notch. So I'm now going to lift it higher than that. And remember, that's the maximum height, so it can't be there. So it has to be just below that maximum height. Okay, let's go back to lever number 5. Let's just set lever number 5 again. There's lever number 5. Let's go lever number 4, which, as you can hear, 5 and 4 are both in true gates now. Now, lever number 3 needs to be lifted the same height as lever number 5 because of the ABA pattern, which dictates that lever 3 and 5 are normally the same. So if we look at the angle of the puck on lever 5, and then if we go to lever 4, you can see it's much higher because it's a high lift lever. And then if you go back to lever 3, you can see that this angle now matches as it did at the on lever number 5. And if we have a listen, so lever 5 is in a gate, 4 is in a gate. Let's just have a little fiddle there a second. It's not in a gate anymore, but it is now. There we go. Okay, so 3 sets. 5, I think, is overset. So 5, I think, is in an anti-pick notch because I've lifted it too high. I knew this lock would be frustrating, but there we go. So there's 5. Get underneath lever 4. It's a high lift, so we'll lift it all the way up into its true gate. There's the anti-pick notch. into its true gate. Lever 3 needs to be lifted the same as lever 5. That might have been a little bit too hard. Okay, so 5, 4, 3. Now lever 2 was 4 height. So this again is going to be a small lift. Somewhere around about there. I don't know if you heard that, but that you could actually hear that drop into its true gate. And if we listen, you can hear it rattling. And then finally, lever 1, which is a 2 height, which is a high lift. So we know that we need to lift this right up. It's binding quite hard. So lift it right up, keep going up until we can get it into a true gate. Okay. I don't know if you saw then, I backed the tension off. I've got very light tension on this lock now. So 2's in a true gate. Lever 1, lever 2, lever 3. Okay. So something is stopping us from moving. So we need to work out, looking at the position of the puck, where we might have gone wrong here. So there's lever 3, there's lever 5. They both appear to be okay. So let's go from the front. So 1's in a true gate, lever 2 is over lifted. Let's just drop lever 2 down. So I'm backing the tension off and I'm just flicking the lever, trying to get it to where I want it to be. Lever 1. Lever 2. So 5. Lever 4 is bound. 5. 4 is stuck in. So lever 4 was a number 1, and at the moment it's not lifted high enough and it's stuck in the anti-pick notch. So I'm just going to back the tension off a little bit and see if we can lift that lever up and put it back into its, put it all the way back up into its proper gate. There's 1, which had dropped. There's 2, which has dropped. Okay, the lock has now jumped into an anti-pick. So one of these levers, again, is in the wrong place. So I would say, again, it's lever number 4 needs to be lifted higher, up into its true gate. 5, 4, lever 3, lever 1, lever 2 now is lever 2 now is solid. Let's drop lever 2 down. And there we go. The lock is open. So a really long video, apologies. It took me quite a while to open that, but this is probably about as hard as a fortress gets, because not only do you need to navigate underneath those high lift levers, but you also need to manage the anti-pick notches on the low lift levers alongside them. But as you can see, with a bit of perseverance and a little bit of understanding of which levers and how they perform in the lock that we were dealing with, we've actually got the open on the lock. So it does prove that you can open it. Maybe not the most proficient opening. My arms are actually hugging a camera and lights, and it's not a natural position to open the lock, but it's open, so that's great. All right, okay, well, I hope that demonstration helps, and next video I'm going to be showing you how to decode these so that you can work out what the lever combination will be inside, and to help you facilitate picking them. Okay, thanks a lot. Cheers and bye for now.